gang. Thanks for joining us. Jim Masters here on our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, The Jim Masters Show. Great to have you with us watching all around the world. Hey, did you ever wish that you could get a hold of some of those amazing props from Hollywood movies and TV shows that you love, that you've always enjoyed? Well, there is a way to do that, and we have the person joining us who helps make that happen and bring those visions to life. He is the CEO of Studio Auctions, which is based in Burbank, California, and they have access to some of the most incredible items from some of your favorite Hollywood movies, TV shows, from the legends too, talking about Brooke Shields and Marilyn Monroe and Marlon Brando and so many others, even Tobey Maguire, and from some of the favorites in terms of the blockbuster films and TV series and so much more. It's really cool stuff. Again, Studio Auctions, they've been doing this for a long time, and Brad is at the helm. He's been leading the way for so many years. It was founded to bring authentic, genuine, and original pieces of American cinematography history out of storage and into the ownership of individuals and organizations which share their similar passion for Hollywood history, offering only 100% verified items. Studio Auctions works vigorously to locate unique, one-of-a-kind pieces which have influenced American culture throughout the decades. Among the gold standard title, Studio Auctions offerings of the finest Star Trek, Stargate costumes, sketches, so much more. Really incredible. And the Goonies, just to name a few, the beloved coming-of-age fantasy. You'll also find a healthy selection of horror and sci-fi, and for any fans and genre fans as well. You'll be menaced by Chucky and Freddy and Jason, a whole matter of props too. And that's just the short list, folks, from motion pictures and television. Matter of fact, the Studio Auctions recently appointed as the auction house for the Motion Picture and Television Fund. It has become the auction house of choice for many celebrities too. And on your screen is the CEO, Brad Teplitsky. Now, he's usually traveling all over, searching out and making connections to get these items so you, the general public, can actually bid on these items. We're going to tell you how you can do that with a big auction that's in progress right now. It's going to be really cool. It is something very special. Here it is. It is bombshells to blasters. These are authenticated Hollywood props. Matter of fact, we're going to show you some of the two during the course of our broadcast, like this. Yeah, from Marlon Brando. Yeah, really cool. That's just one teaser. I don't want to give it all away. We have Brad joining us from Toronto, Canada right now. He's going to fill in all of the puzzle pieces and how you can get access to some of these rare gems from Hollywood, from the movies and TV and so much more. And here he is joining us from Toronto. Brad, welcome to the show, my friend.
Jim. Hi, thank you very much for having me. I'm pretty excited about this.
The pleasure is mine. Absolutely. And I'm excited too, because I really think it's cool what you do and what you have access to. Tell us, how did this all come about? What sort of fascinated your interest in this kind of stuff?
Always loved movies, going to them like so many people. You remember, I sometimes even remember the movie theater I was at or who I was with when I saw the movies, from James Bond to Rocky and just everything. And I've had some great Rocky memorabilia over the years, but I started collecting about 10 years ago, and it came about as a result of my simply receiving a random email about a Captain Kirk shirt or tunic, we call it, that was being auctioned off in California. And I was stunned because Star Trek's my favorite, the original series. And I didn't even know that these things were available for sale or even that they existed. And as I scrolled down the email, I saw some other incredible items. So I was hooked right then and there and started collecting. And then over time, I started to sell some of the items I had bought. And I would be selling them through other auction houses. And finally, it occurred to me, I said to myself, maybe I can do it a little differently and have my own auction house with my partner. And so we set about to start Studio Auctions, which we did over a year ago. And we're coming up on our 4th auction this month. And the rest is history.
That is so cool. You must feel like a kid in a candy store when you see
Oh,
some of these amazing things that you recall from the movies and shows and so much more, Brad, huh?
when people send items in or when I see images of them, sometimes my heart, I'm exaggerating to say my heart flutters, but it's very exciting. That's perhaps the most exciting part of the whole deal. I guess when we're selling it for a reasonable or a great price, but when the item comes in, it's incredible. It's history, and we're proud because someone chose us when there are other choices they have as well, and to sell their props through or their costumes through. But it's very exciting for sure.
You do a lot of different auctions, and this particular one is bombshells to blasters. Tell us about this one. This sounds really exciting.
So this is part two. We had the first part in September, and our consignment director Joe came up with that theme. And where it comes from is that we have some Hollywood bombshells, their items in our auction: Marilyn Monroe, Brooke Shields, and so that's the bombshell part. And then the blasters part is we in September and also in November, but more so in September, we had an array of or a suite of Star Wars items that were just unbelievable. And blasters are what they call the guns in Star Wars culture. So bombshells to blasters, and then an auction you can't refuse is a reference to Marlon Brando's famous saying from The Godfather, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse." And we had a lot of Marlon Brando in the first auction as well as this auction. We sold his tuxedo in the September auction, part one from The Godfather, and it was incredible. It was just so exciting.
That's really amazing that the actual tuxedo was sold and sold so quickly. And we have actually some photos to give people some ideas of, what it actually is. I mean, look at this. These are from the actual auction itself, right?
That's right. We took photos. We even had for this tuxedo, because it was such an important piece, we had a mannequin, a custom mannequin done up with Marlon.
That is so cool. Wow. Do you recall what the high bid was on that?
That went for just over $100,000. I don't remember exactly.
Now, when people usually bid, are they real super fans and real collectors? Are they fans of the celebrities, the movies, the franchise, or do they then, take it and they make it available as well? What do you find usually happens? You must come across people who are diehard fans of the folks that originally had these items.
I would say the majority of them are super fans, and sometimes you'll have someone who buys it just as an investment because he or she thinks that the price is low enough that they'll be able to turn around and sell it at some point in the future and make a profit. But for the most part, and yeah, I mean, I'd say about 10% of the people are like that, but about the rest, 90%, just want to have the item and don't really have any plans on ever selling it. And we try and coax it out of them when we sell it to them, a couple years later, or 10 years later, 5 years later, whatever it is, we'll come to that point where we'll go to people and say, we think it's time to sell your item. We don't really say that to them. That's a bit presumptuous, but we'll let them know that, the market's strong and an opportunity to sell if they want.
I would imagine too, sometimes when a celebrity passes away, then there's an estate sale and different things like that. Are you always keeping abreast of those when the family just wants to donate or just get rid of, clear the house out,
Sure.
clear
I
out
mean,
whatever it is?
we keep a note of it. We don't really reach out to the family. Other auction houses do some, but we don't really do that so much. Come to us rather than chasing them down when someone in their family has passed.
Which I think is really special. The fact that you really don't have to chase anything down because you are so revered and so
Jimmy,
good
you
at
there?
doing it. Yeah. Yep. We're there.
I'm sorry, I lost you for 15
Split
seconds
second.
or
Yeah.
so.
Your Wi-Fi went a little blurry, but maybe a cloud went over the house. But I was saying that the
I
reason
was saying I
probably,
lost you right after I said that we don't really chase down estates.
And then a ghost came in from a celebrity and said, well, here you go.
I'm gonna move to a different part so that
Yeah.
I can hopefully, in case the connection is bad at
Well,
my
this is nice. You know
end.
why? Because a lot of celebrities that come on, they give us this house tour, and look at that. Look at the beautiful stairs, and it's a nice, nice little bungalow.
It'll be stronger up here.
Yeah, it's nice. I am Edward R.
Okay.
Murrow, and we're at the home of Brad Teplitsky. Really nice painting. Now our viewers are going to say they love the painting on the wall above you.
Thank you. I did it myself. No.
Did you?
No, not really. Not really.
So what I was saying was, you were talking about the oftentimes the auction houses will go to the people and say, hey, are you going to donate, or the estate sales? But you're so well known and so good at it and so revered that everybody generally comes to you, and you've been appointed recently the auction house for the Motion Picture and Television Fund. And you've become, as I mentioned in the introduction, the auction house of choice for many, many celebrities, right?
We have, in a pretty short period of time, through hard work, and we're very, very proud of that, especially being the auction house for the Motion Picture and Television Fund. And we actually take it pretty seriously, because it's a big honor for that fund. And generally, when celebrities come to us and trust us with their items, they care a lot about them.
You also Studio Auctions reviews all collectible items through a vigorous authentication process, ensuring any items offered through the site are 100% authentic and original. You have a dedicated staff at Studio Auctions that verifies all the paperwork, material, visual comparison, ownership history, and lots more to bring only authentic items to customers. That's very reassuring for people that do the bidding and try to get the items and that win the items eventually, because a lot of times there's so many rip-offs and all kinds of stuff. You can see one Gucci bag isn't always like the other one, especially on the street corner. So that's quite a process to make sure everything is exactly as it should be. It must be a monumental effort, Brad.
It takes time. And, Jim, thanks for saying that. You hit all the main points in terms of our authentication process, which is to check the paperwork, do a thorough questioning of the consignor, compare the item before us to the one on screen, look at the materials the item is made of, and make sure that they existed at the time. Just all of those factors. And it's really important to do that.
Are there items that people who have bid before, or fans, they write in and they request? Do they ever contact you guys at Studio Auctions and say, gee, I bid on this and I love it and I won it, or I didn't win it, but I bid on it. Do you have anything from this movie? Do they become like regulars, hoping that you get? Yeah,
they do. Just like I did when I used to deal with auction houses as a buyer. I'd get so excited as the auction was coming up, after they announced it and I knew that it was coming up. I'd call them up and I'd say, okay, you haven't put out your catalog yet, but do you have any Rocky? Do you have any Star Trek? Do you have any Bruce Lee? I would be that guy. And similarly, people will usually write and say, what's coming up next? Or, I'm looking for this item from this movie. Do you have any coming up or any available? So that does happen for sure. Yeah.
It's got to be irresistible for you too. Again, it is like you're a kid in the candy store when you do come across a lot of the items. When items are, become property of the auction and then the auction happens, are you dealing a lot of times with the actual, if they're still with us, of course, the actual celebrity, or are you going through a lot of channels? Like, would you ever deal with a William Shatner who wants to give you this or any of that? The celebrities themselves, the people of note themselves,
sure.
Do you have contact with them?
They call us up, they email. not all the time. Sometimes it'll be the representative. It depends on who we're dealing with. You know, if it's Brent Spiner from Star Trek, I'll deal with him directly, or Lee Majors from the $6 Million Man, I'll deal with him directly. If it's from the Bionic Woman, she
Lindsay
will.
Wagner.
Yeah, Lindsay will deal through someone else. Just depends.
We'd love to get her on the Jim Masters show in case
You
if
should.
you ever
I'll let
see
her
her.
know.
We would love to have her on. Absolutely. People have requested her. I want to show, just to give people, I was teasing the viewers at the beginning that we would have a couple of photos of some items passing through and available. Of course, we just lost Pete Rose recently, and this is quite special. Tell us what we're seeing here, Brad.
No, I'm so excited about this. This is upcoming for our February auction
That's
for
great.
sports. And we're putting up now to show people as a featured item what's coming up, encouraging them to consign for our sports auction. This should go for well over $100,000. And it's never been to auction before. And it's photo matched. So this is a good one. If you like Pete Rose.
Yeah, he was quite a ball player, really, really, and we just lost him too. So people are, want to get whatever they can to remember him and celebrate him. We go from Pete Rose's items to Marilyn Monroe's shoes. I mean, how cool is this? Tell us about this.
Amazingly cool. And so we look at it, we get it in, we have to be circumspect about every item, and we make sure obviously the shoe size is right. We look for a photo match if we can find it. We interview the consignor, we look for any paperwork, and based on everything, we have no doubt that these were shoes worn by Marilyn Monroe.
It's incredible. We even have her, I believe it's her cosmetic purse as well.
That's right. It's Marilyn's too. And we have stuff coming up in our next auction in March that will also have Marilyn's items, some jewelry and other things, but we're saving that. And lipstick, believe it or not, people are very interested in Marilyn's lipstick. And
that's unbelievable that you can actually get Marilyn Monroe's shoes, her cosmetic purse, her lipstick. I mean, that's unbelievable. And for those who love scripts and things of that nature, sort of behind the scenes of movies and these classic cinema favorites, we even have something like this is script pages, Marilyn Monroe, right?
That's right. Annotated 7-year itch, I believe that is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the movie. Anyway, we have her actual handwriting and notes. So that's pretty incredible.
Wow.
Doesn't happen every day. So we're excited for that.
There's another one there too. I mean, no, that's rare.
If you're a Marilyn Monroe collector, you don't want to miss this auction.
No. And even this here too, Iron Man, the suit.
Oh, yeah. So that one is one of our premier items. Never been to auction. Never had that much armor of an Iron Man costume, Robert Downey Jr. at auction. This is the first time something so complete. It obviously is not the entire suit, but we've never had this much at auction, and it'll sell for over $100,000.
It is so special. Yeah. And look at this, the captain's shield.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's a cool item. The Marvels.
And somebody who's just one of the sweetest guys on the planet, and he's been a guest on our show several times, the comparable Burt Ward, Robin from Batman and Robin. And tell us about this.
Well, I'll just say generally, I mean, I grew up on Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I've never met Burt Ward, actually, but I love the show.
He's wonderful.
And this costume comes from the TV show. And it's available on November 23, 24. And
could you imagine that? I mean, the costume from the show is right there and available. Yeah. All of those Batman and Robin fans from the classic 60s series, Bang, Zoom, Pow, Cesar Romero, and Burgess Meredith, and all of them, you can actually get that.
And we have another great item from the show. Comes with a letter from the producer, Bill Dozier, the Shakespeare bust. to open up the back cave.
Oh,
Have
yes.
that, and that's screen matched.
That is
That's
so
cool.
cool. That is great. Bird is wonderful. He's got that Gentle Giants dog food company too, pet food, organic pet food
Does
for
he?
pets. Yeah, he and his wife, they have this. It's a big, big thing. And they have, I think, they're like 20 dogs and cats, and they raise all the animals. It's really something, this new thing that he's been doing for so many years. Then we move on to Bruce Lee. Wow, look at this.
That's right. Bruce Lee, be like Wada. I didn't do that very well, but that was just one of his things. He was, he was great. Oh my God. I mean, so that he was one of his stuff, his screen stuff, his personal stuff, more so his screen stuff, was really one of the original things I started collecting along with Stallone and Star Trek. So this is his costume, not costume, excuse me, his workout outfit that comes from Linda Lee, his
Mhm.
late wife. She
Wow.
put it into auction originally, and now it's come to our auction. There's a photo of Bruce wearing it, and what more can I say? It's fantastic.
It really is. And I think this is Bjorn Borg, the tennis legend. And this is the actual racket.
It's one of the rackets,
Wow.
Bjorn, but it certainly was used during his Wimbledon tournament. There's a letter from Bjorn saying that, and it's coming up in our February auction. We're excited
Oh,
again to have this. This is for sports,
that
and
is amazing.
we're going to have more than just one racket. But this is one we're showing right now as an advanced preview. I was a huge Bjorn Borg fan,
Oh,
so
yeah.
to have that collection come to our auction, it comes from his trainer, and
Hmm.
it's pretty cool.
That is so amazing. Here's another item, too. Look at that.
Well, that's also an epic item because it's never been to auction. It was worn by Marlon Brando, and it comes from his own collection from his estate. So there you have it, Jarrell, the Superman, and it's got his tag in there, the right tag. So that's coming up for auction November 23, 24, and I'm super interested to see how that does.
Here we go. Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Wow.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of interest in this, a lot of hits on the cowl, Ryan Reynolds from the first movie, and I don't think a cowl has been to auction before. So from Deadpool,
Yeah.
so watch out and let's see how this one does.
That is so cool. I mean, we're going through a lot of
You're hitting the
very.
highlights, Jim. You've got a good eye.
This is, I tell you, the
Mhm.
highlights, even, and nobody would necessarily think of this. And when we were putting the episode together and we were doing the research and connecting with everybody on this, I thought that this was fascinating because it is something quite special. An actual crypt is available.
Yes, this is a crypt, two spots away from Marilyn Monroe, one spot away from Hugh Hefner. Hugh wanted to be buried beside Marilyn when he passed. So that's he got his wish. He bought the crypt, and the one that we're selling is just to the left, and it's available. It's going to go for over 100,000. I think a crypt even at the cemetery, and I forget the name of it right now, goes for a good crypt probably up to 100,000 anyway. But this one is very special because it's so close to Maryland. So you can you can be at peace. Rest assured that you'll be for eternity close to a Hollywood icon and have plenty of people visiting you because you're going to be that close. So you'll become famous yourself for anybody who wants the crypt.
That is absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of people probably are very surprised that there's even a crypt available right close to Hugh Hefner, Marilyn
Well,
Monroe. And
that's right. It was owned by a producer, a late producer of from the show Guys and Dolls. I think Jerry Herman, who was quite well known on Broadway, and
oh,
that was his
yeah,
crypt. It was his crypt. He decided, or his descendant, his estate decided not to.
we had them on the show. I think it was his
Oh,
goddaughter,
right.
granddaughter.
Jane
Yeah.
might have been on that show. Jane
She,
Dory in your show. She was
she was on our
fantastic.
show talking about all these incredible things from the Jerry Herman
Yeah.
estate being made available. Wow. So that came from them?
That's right. Yeah, and it's a very interesting piece. I mean, a lot of people would say, "How the heck can you bid on a crypt?" Well, you can. Why not?
You can, absolutely. If it's there and, it's
I might
something.
buy it if I can come up with the money. I might. I'd like to be more. I'd like to be famous, even if it's post mortem. I'd like whatever it takes.
It's well, after you're on the Jim Master show, see what happens, Brad. Now, this is cool. Tell us about this.
So Val Kilmer's suit from I think it was the third Batman movie, and it's
Wow.
fantastic. I mean, look at it. Look how beautiful the suit is in terms of how it's made and sort of the presence. I mean, imagine having that in your house, your man cave. It's
Yeah.
pretty neat, and it's coming up for auction. It's available. Just have to register and bid, and you can have it. And I think I forget the price we have that starting at, but probably around at least 60,000.
That's amazing. And we're showing the site that people can go to see previews of items, learn more about what they do and the purpose of it all, studioauctions.com. These are rare artifacts, folks. These are not mass produced items. These are coming directly from, the celebrities, the families, the studios, and, it's as rare as it absolutely gets. That's rare right there, and so is this too, huh?
Right, that's what you saw earlier. That's
Yeah,
Marlon's. That's a different picture of just the top. It's a three-piece ensemble, and got the famous S logo.
which is
So
incredible. Yeah,
it's never been to auction. The Batman suit has been to auction before, but not Marlon Brando's Superman costume.
this is incredible. And this is Han Solo's, right? The blaster.
Yeah, so we're authenticating a blaster that came in. This is not in the auction yet. It won't be in the November auction. So, but it's something we're looking at and
Keep an
deciding.
eye out and stay
Yeah,
tuned, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's another picture of the thing we saw before. His Robert Downey. I mean, he wore this. This is his
From
armor
Iron Man, yeah.
from Civil War.
Exactly. Look at this. Wow.
This was
Back
in our
back to the
September
future.
auction. We were so proud to have this. We had Rick Carter, who's maybe not an everyday household name, but in Hollywood, very well known production designer. And he's worked on many of Steven Spielberg's films, worked very closely with him. I think Steven was the director. This is from Back to the Future 2, and it was directed by Bob Zemeckis. And they used Rick Carter, as they have in so many of their collaborations. And this was a collage that Rick made, and we auctioned it off in September. Sort of Rick's idea, trying to show what the future might look like. And you can see a hoverboard there with someone riding it in the air. And it's not directly, it's before the movie was done, Rick laying out his concept and showing it to Jim and Steve.
That is so
Or
cool.
Bob and Steve, excuse me. Bob
Steve,
Zemeckis,
right.
Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg.
Another item we sold in September. He did the first Jurassic Park. Uh, Rick Carter did, and wow, I mean, he designed the visitor center. He came up with so many of the ideas, and they're reflected in his preliminary sketches.
That is so unbelievable to have the opportunity to get some of these items like this. Look at this.
Oh wow! So I mean, what's so cool about this? This Rick was also the production designer in a couple of the sequel films, including Force Awakens. And as he explained, he came to our auction actually to talk about these items as they were being sold. And he explained this one. This comes from a famous scene where Ray is handing off or giving Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, his saber, his lightsaber, and I think Mark Hamill then tosses it. But the idea of the handoff came from Rick Carter, so his vision was incorporated into the film. It was the genesis of that scene.
Look at this.
So this sold in September. This
Hmm.
was a test wand, not actually used in The Wizard of Oz, but used for photo shoots. And they were testing it to see how it would look on screen. And what they decided was to go with this type of wand, but one that had colored jewels or emblems. And that's what you see in the movie, the one that has all the colors. But this, it came from production, was used for production photographs, promotional photographs, and it's incredible. It's over, by this point, it's almost 100 years old.
Hmm. And look how long it is,
I
too.
know, I know, I know. Try bringing that through the airport. I tried. My team said, "Oh, they'll let you in." TSA, no, it didn't happen. I didn't think it would. I was doing some promotion for it and had to go somewhere on a plane, and they said it could be used in a way that would not be consistent with flying the friendly skies. So, okay.
And then you started singing, "If You Only Had a Heart."
I was like, oh my God, I got to catch a plane, but I worked it out.
Yeah, it's it. Somewhere over the rainbow. Uh, Now we're talking Brooke Shields, huh?
Another bombshell. So Brooke, right? And nothing gets between me and my Calvin
Calvin
Kleins.
Klein jeans. Remember all those?
So we're selling this on the 23rd, the first day of the 2-day auction, towards the end of the auction. And these were consigned by Brooke herself. They come from her, and she's consigning some other personal items. This is obviously from her collection, the most important item that she's given us. And there she is, Brooke, pointing to the jeans, and that's a big deal because Brooke's iconic, and the commercial is iconic. And Brooke, I mean, she's graced the cover of People magazine more times than I can count. She's still very relevant, and a lot of attention around those jeans, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens.
The Blue Lagoon and Suddenly Susan on
Yeah,
NBC,
we're
that
selling some
series.
strips from Blue Lagoon, and Suddenly Susan, as well as her own scrapbook from Blue Lagoon.
Wow.
That's her high school cheerleading sweater.
Isn't that cool?
I think so.
She's
I'm
making
very
that
excited.
available too, Brooke Shields?
Yeah, she is. There she is.
Wow. I expect that to probably go fast as well, huh?
I think it should do well. I love that picture of Brooke holding it up.
It is really a great one. All of these, the jeans, hey gang, Brooke Shields fans, movies, television, so much more, and of course modeling, covers of some of the most revered magazines. You have an opportunity to get those items as well. And look at this shot here. Henry Winkler with you here.
So Henry was one of our first celebrities that we worked with, even before our first auction. And we were talking about some of the items for our first auction. This was last year, in fact, and that was the suit that eventually we sold, which was last September, a couple months
Great guy
ago.
too. He is.
Henry's good man, very nice,
Yeah.
and
Just wrote his autobiography, his memoir too. Yeah.
it was a thrill meeting him for sure. I mean, the Fonz, when I grew up on Happy Days, and never occurred to me that I have an opportunity to meet the Fonz.
We've had Marion Ross with us, and Don Most, and Anson Williams, and Linda Pearl, and we're trying to get Henry. We hope to get Henry hopefully on the show. So again, if you're at the same, buffet brunch with Lindsay Wagner and Henry,
oh my God, I will. I promise.
The Jim Masters Show.
I'll tell them how great it is. How great you guys
we
are.
would love it. This is terrific too. Look at this watch.
So gifted by Marilyn to Marlon Brando. His nickname was Bud. So she wrote, "Happy birthday, Bud. Love, M. April 3rd, 1955," which I think is his birthday. And then he wore it at a Hollywood movie event premiere, and I forget the name of it.
How cool is that? So this is a watch that was gifted from Marilyn Monroe to Marlon Brando. There it is.
Wow. A lot of people looking for that, interested in that.
I don't doubt it, huh? That's going to go That's going to go super fast. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's, you know, if you were to get something like that, would you want to wear it or do you want to put it away in a sealed vault? I mean,
I
probably.
I wouldn't wear it. If I were me, I would want to either display it, but I'd be very nervous. I'd probably put it in a vault. I probably would.
And people,
That
I
was
would
one of the
imagine they
problems.
insure the items too. When they get these
Yes,
items, they
they do.
probably.
That they usually insure them specifically, and that was one of the things with collecting I found challenging is, do you display these items or do you just put them away, but then you never see them? So
Right,
tough
exactly.
call.
Yes, exactly. Do you ever get people's awards? Do you get their Oscar, their Emmy, their Tony? Do they ever come your way?
Well, we do, and Lindsay was was selling some of her awards, and we also on Oscars we've been offered some Oscars, but the difficulty with Oscars is that from sometime I think in the 1940s or 50s, they invoked a rule where winners, had to agree that they would not sell them unless, and if they did, that the Academy could buy them back for like $1. So you can't really sell them from about some year in the 1940s on. You can't sell them now. If it's before then, you can. Before they came up with this rule.
So if it is something prior to that, it could
Yeah,
be made
I haven't
available.
I haven't received one yet. So prior to that time, I'm sure we will at some point, but not yet.
So anybody that might have an Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy laying around, this is the
Here,
gentleman, the CEO. This is the CEO right here we're talking to. Yeah, he'd be happy to offer it and display it for you. And we showed this in the beginning too.
Yeah, that's the front side of
That's
the
the
watch.
close up of that, huh?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that this is something that's happened for a couple of years now. How often do the auctions happen? You mentioned the one that's November and then the sports one in February. Is it every couple of months? And
Yeah,
and do you
every few
have,
months, in
yeah,
March, we're having another Hollywood one, and we're going to at the same time sell some music items with our Hollywood items in March. We're looking forward to that. And then we may, well, we have some other item collections and items that I'm not allowed to talk about right now, but that'll be pretty significant coming up.
now, do you get people who also ask about things from other countries, things from Broadway and other parts of the arts where possibly if they had those things available, like props from a famous long run Broadway show, like say if it was Phantom of the Opera or something from Cats or whatever. Is that something, or is it really the super focus on film, television, and Hollywood?
Really, the latter. We haven't had, I don't recall anything coming off Broadway. Maybe a couple costumes, but not any props or anything like that.
If somebody, but stay tuned, you never know, right? If somebody is watching and they're really excited about this and they've never bid, the last time they bid on something might be for an apple pie at the 4-H fair or something. They've never done this kind of stuff. What's the process? What can they expect? And what is it really like to get involved in it? How do they go about doing it?
Well, they can expect really good customer service. They can go to, if they want to bid, just go to studioauctions.com, register there. Doesn't take more than a few minutes. And when the auction starts, they can actually pre-bid, which is bidding even before the November 23rd start date. But a lot of people, most people wait till the auction starts. And if they have an account, they've registered, they just go to the website, press a button says enter the auction, and they can bid. And what they can expect is to, depending on the item, of course, to be in competition. It's exciting seeing the numbers go up and their bid is registered. It's anonymous, so their name doesn't appear, and they can see it on the screen though, their bid for, let's say, $20. Someone might bid 30, 40. It just keeps going up until someone stops bidding, and that's the price at which it's sold, and they pay for it, and we send it to them.
Now, it seems easy breezy, right?
It is really.
It's all happening. People don't have to fly across the country.
No.
It's happening online, right?
It's happening online, and it has for many, many years with the auction houses. Even before COVID, the number of people who would come into an auction in person, they would, but not that many. And now post COVID, obviously during COVID, no one showed up, and post COVID, it's really almost stayed at the pre-COVID. It's almost stayed at the COVID levels, meaning that very few people have come back to bid in person, although sometimes people do.
Now, we showed a crypt earlier, the one next to Marilyn Monroe. Do you ever get cars, houses, other larger things like that?
Well, love to sell a house. We haven't yet. In terms of a car, we have potentially something coming up from the F1 Formula One racing world coming up that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet, but we're in discussions for that. So that's
That is
exciting. That's pretty cool.
cool, right?
Yeah.
That
That'll
is
be next year.
that is really, really cool. It's very special too. I tell you, how do you balance, doing all of this? Do you have a big team of people that are working with you? Because again, this is a full-time experience here.
It's a big job. I've never worked harder in my life. And we have a team in Burbank and in Toronto, and they do a great job. They're really professional, terrific people.
So again, if folks are interested in these items, they can go online and check it all out at studioauctions.com. Are you always adding, like if an auction is going on and then as that auction is happening, a new item comes along, are you always adding items as long as that particular auction is happening?
We really try not to. Some auction houses do that. We don't. We avoid that for a variety of reasons, and we encourage the consigner just to hold off for a few months till we have the next auction and we get their item in. But you can do it. I mean, it's not unheard of. Add an item while the auction's already started, or the pre-bidding, or the item's been listed. The auction's been listed, online usually 30 days before. Do we add items in during that period? You can. I'm not sure if we've ever done that.
Now, when somebody wins the item, do they go to claim it? Is it shipped to them? How does all that work?
Well, they pay for it. They'll send a wire, credit card, and then we send the item out with the certificate of authenticity, and comes to the door, and they're pretty excited.
That is really cool. What are some of the other, to give people more of an idea of some of the kinds of things that come through studio auctions? What are some of the other things you recall that really, maybe there was a bidding war over it, or they were just really extra special items over the years?
Hannibal Lecter's mask from Silence of the Lambs was a big deal, really big deal. And that got us a lot of attention. Let's see what else. There's been a lot. Well, Dorothy's house from The Wizard of Oz, that was huge.
I saw some photos
sitting
of
in
that.
a museum. That's sitting in a museum, yeah.
That's unbelievable, huh?
It's incredible. I'm sorry, I love that piece.
Yeah.
A phaser from Star Trek, that was significant. There've been quite a few. Flight suit that Tom Cruise wore in the first Top Gun. And an R2D2, not from the original movie, but from the television series called Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that did really well. Fully functional R2D2. So those are some of the items that in the past really have stood out.
Do you get music and or record collections, things of that nature too, as well?
We do. People consign to us, and in March, that's going to accompany the Hollywood prop and costume. We're going to have a section of music.
Wow, that's fantastic, huh?
Yeah.
You mentioned the sports one too, which I think is really great. This is also for people that, and I've seen and know people who have done it, who go to all of the conventions, the comic cons, and all of the thrillers and all of the Chiller Fest, all these things, because you do also have sci-fi and horror in there as well. But I mean, I've met people, Little House on the Prairie fans and Walton's fans and fans of, Friday the 13th, and just they will go wherever it takes to meet the celebrities, to get autographs, to take pictures.
Guilty as charged.
What's the last one you went to?
I don't anymore, but I used to go and chase down the Star Trek. If it was some guy or lady, like even who's in a scene for a second, there was this guy I knew. His name was Scott. He used to call me, and because he knew I was a fan, he goes, "You won't believe it. I just found person X, Y, and Z from episode this. They were in it for," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there. I'll be there." So I did that. Yeah, there are people who love it. I mean, they have their pick, right? It may not be Star Trek. It could be a Little House, as you mentioned.
Little
it could
House.
be anything.
Yeah.
And they will come and to meet those celebrities. And I've done that much more for Star Trek than anything else, the original series.
I was at the one here on the East Coast for Little House on the Prairie. And the reason why I really went is several of the stars, and they've been very good at embracing, the roles and embracing their characters. And they really are so good to all their fans. And I witnessed that. And several of them have been guests here on the Jim Masters show. So I wanted to go, and I actually didn't ask for VIP or anything. I waited in those very long lines in the heat with the fans. So I got a chance to really hear.
Where'd you go? Did you go to New York, Rhode Island?
I went to the one that was in Connecticut and at the Hillstead Museum, which is a beautiful museum. And there were lines galore, and just talking with people, I didn't say who I was or any of that other. I just said that, I knew some of the folks because I had chatted with them, which of course was have them guests here. Dean Butler, Alison Arngrim, and Charlotte Stewart, and several others, and Wendy Lou Lee. And it was wonderful to hear people flew in from Chicago and drove up from Virginia and booked hotels, and they rented a car or bought plane tickets for this opportunity. So it's really amazing that, people are so
childhood dreams. It's your dreams to meet. I was at dinner with Lee Majors back in February.
He was just in Rhode Island at a big Comic Con.
Oh, did he do the Rhode Island recently, Lee?
He went to the Rhode Island. So did Lindsay Wagner, Michael J. Fox.
Right, I read that Michael was there. I went to the Rhode Island once back in, I think, maybe 2019 or something.
Providence, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good Comic Con. But Lee, I was out for dinner with Lee, and boy, this guy came over as he waited, right? He was sitting a couple tables over, and he waited till our dinner was over, pretty much. But he must have been just waiting the whole night. And he came over to Lee, and he was so excited. It was nice. Because when I first saw Bill Shatner, I think it was at a St. Louis Comic Con.
He was at that one too.
Yeah, I've seen him there at the Rhode Island. I mean, I haven't been in a long time, but I used to go a lot. And when I first saw Bill, it was at St. Louis. No, that's not right. It was in New York. It was funny. I was in New York, and we went to see The Walking Dead, and my family. And I saw that Bill Shatner was going to be there. So I brought my one at the time, my only Star Trek collectible. I still have it. That's the one I haven't given up. And it was just a TV magazine of him and Len Nimoy. So I brought it with me to New York, and I went up to Bill, and I mentioned him. I said, I've never really asked anyone for an autograph, which was more or less true. And he said to me, well, no one's ever asked me for an autograph before. So that's Bill's funny that way. He was joking. But that was Bill just being funny.
Oh, he's so witty. He's so quick. He really is. Actually on set right over there is the I Dream a Genie bottle.
Is it? I was wondering.
One of those collectible, hand-painted, the expensive ones. A friend of mine, I'd always talked about Jim and Jeannie and Bewitched and all those classic TV shows and what have you. And through various events and various people I know in New York and elsewhere, and probably through my work in television and all, I've had an opportunity to chat with and meet, probably also through my years on PBS as a host, meet several people. Carol Burnett, one of the most wonderful, approachable, affable, friendly people, real deal. And Florence Henderson as well. I was at a gala event and I wasn't brought over to her. She was on the other side of the room and there was a spotlight on her and there were hundreds of people there and the room was dark and all there was the spotlight. And I was brought in to the room, this VIP room. And somehow, I mean, I'm just coming in, I'm being let in, led by the people who are doing the gala event. Somehow she spots me and she parts the seas of all these people that are in line waiting for her. And the room was sort of dimly lit. It was just a spotlight on her. She's got the white pantsuit. She looks like $1 million. And she comes over to me and she nudges the professional photographer roaming around, the event. And she says, "I want a picture with him." I'm like, wait a minute, that's my line. It was incredible. And the whole night we were talking and laughing, and she was telling me how she would write back to every fan that ever wrote to her. Very funny, very warm, very loving. There was a moment again later on in the evening where I'm here and Sonny Grasso next to me, who was a dear friend. He was the New York City police detective that the movie The French Connection, that Tony LoBianco, who we just lost, the famous actor, was starred in. And Sonny was sitting to the left of me and Florence was standing right here. This was another period in that evening. And the photographers saw us, within range of each other. And the photographer goes, everybody come in and squeeze together. So Florence sits on my knee. And all of a sudden I became a 10-year-old again. Wait a minute. I'm holding up Carol Brady. I may never let go. She was wonderful. And it was about a month and a half before
she died.
Yeah, because she went back to LA. This was on the East Coast. And she went back to LA to root on Maureen McCormick, who was competing in Dancing with the Stars at that time. And Thanksgiving Day, my phone blew up. My social media blew up and people were offering me condolences because I had shared that wonderful evening and the conversations. And she was always somebody I did want to meet. Dick Van Dyke still is somebody there. I was very close to meeting Dick Van Dyke for a PBS special that a composer, a friend of mine, worked on this wonderful special called Buttons. His name is Tim Janis, and he's had 12 PBS specials. So Dick Van Dyke's in this special with Angela Lansbury, and it's just really incredible. And I was going to be sent out to LA to fly up to Boston or drive up to Boston, fly out to LA to do an interview in Dick's home for the PBS special. But things got twisted only because it was around his 90th birthday and Disneyland at the same time called him out there to celebrate his 90th. So it didn't happen, but he's always been on my radar.
To make that happen, hopefully,
And I just always loved his character, his spirit. And, we've talked to people right around him who have been guests on the show, but fabulous. You talk about the Rhode Island, and just for the viewers in terms of the love that everybody has for the characters and on television and film. Barbara Eden was there last year.
You're right.
And we said, what the heck, we'll go out. And I had met her before, but I said, what, we'll take a ride out to the one in Providence, Rhode Island, the big one in the convention center there.
Yeah, it's great.
She was unreal. It was amazing. A super fan made, which her team didn't even know. And her team two of the guys from her team ended up coming on my show. We met then, the Edwards twins. They are like Vegas's number one, they're twins, two brothers, number one impersonators, and they have been doing it for like 3 decades. And they were sort of managing things for Barbara because they were close friends, Barbara Eden's. So we met them, and they came on our show as a guest. And we still would love to have Barbara come on the show too. But with all the things that you see when you go to that huge convention center and all the people there was nobody there that had a longer line and amount of fanfare than Barbara Eden. And somebody, a real super fan, constructed floor to ceiling a life-size genie bottle. And her team didn't know that. So they had to reposition everything that they were doing because, they were going to have the table, and she has the photos and the little mini genie bottles people can buy and all the rest, the usual types of things. And you chat with her. This was something special because what had happened was they added in an extra bonus, for a certain price for the folks that were in the line, that they would have an opportunity to go into the bottle with her, sit on the couches with the beads, and get the photo inside the bottle on the couch with the beads with Barbara Eden doing this, which fans were going wild about. And so that was really cool.
That's incredible. So it was the longest line.
It was over 3 to 4 hours. And it was the very last line. They were actually closing the convention center. Everything was done. The line was still there. She said, I'm not leaving until every person who has been standing in this line gets a chance to either do a selfie or get a, autographed bottle or photo, whatever it is. And she did that for everybody that was in that line. The convention center, the security people were coming around. There were janitors who were sweeping the floors, and she still had a line wrapped around the floor. It was unbelievable. And
you can see the passion.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And people might have thought, is this a once in a lifetime opportunity? Like the items that you have with studio auctions, these are kind of once in a lifetime opportunities to get these items that are precious to people and were precious to the people who had them. So those people waiting in those lines is similar, because this is an opportunity to meet somebody that they've loved and revered, and all the different things Barbara Eden has done. So it is nice to see, people. We need things like this because things are heavy. There's a lot of crazy things going on in our world.
You need this stuff.
And right?
It's escapism. I go see a movie and I zone out. I don't think about, what's happening outside for a couple of hours. But, about I Dream of Jeannie in the Bottle, one of my friends is a big collector, and he has one of her bottles from the TV show. So maybe I'm inspired now to see if he'll consign it to us. He has a letter from Barbara and one of the bottles. So I'll talk to him, see.
People magazine visited Barbara in her home, I think a year or so ago, and she took him into one of the sections of her house where she's got all of these I Dream of Jeannie items, things that fans have made and so much more. And she had, for the longest time, and it had little chips in it and things like that, but the original I Dream of Jeannie bottle, both of them, the original was sort of like a dark black with gold, and then there was the pink colored one like that one there. And she had it with her all these years, and just recently it went to the Smithsonian. Can you imagine? I could see that, like Archie Bunker's chair and Edith's chair. Some of the, I would imagine you probably hope sometimes to get the items before they head to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, but if they're Smithsonian bound, there's a zero chance. It's just not happening.
Yeah,
nobody's going to get them. But
it's special. Yeah, absolutely. But she had it all these years with the little chips on it and everything. She always kept it, and then and then it went off to the Smithsonian very recently, she said in a People magazine
Really?
TV.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really quite amazing. Do you know the story of the I Dream of Jeannie bottle, what they used to fashion the
No,
bottle?
tell me. I did not know.
They used a Jim Beam liquor bottle. That's an actual original Jim Beam liquor bottle, the one on set on the series, and they used that and created the bottle with that shape. So if you ever
That's
look at one of the Jim Beam liquor bottles from back then, that's exactly like the I Dream of Jeannie bottle shape.
That's very neat. I had no idea, actually. The Jim Beam bottle for
The
I Dream
Jeannie
of
bottle.
Jeannie. Did you ever meet Larry Hagman at all, or run across?
No, we had Linda Gray on the show recently, and
She's
she
supposed to be very nice. You would know. I saw her actually once at a function I was at, but I didn't go over to her. But I love Dallas. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, you know because you met her. I haven't.
Oh, Linda Gray was absolutely. We had Linda Gray on not that long ago, and Sharon Gless as well, and she was spectacular. Lucy Arnaz, who's a friend, and so many other great people. We would love to have Donna Mills with us. We get a lot of requests for Donna. She's out there now. They're talking Donna and Joan Van Ark. They're promoting the Knots Landing anniversary. There's been a lot of anniversaries too. That's the 65th anniversary right now of the Twilight Zone. 65 years of the Twilight Zone.
65.
And we did a special on that, and 60 years of Bewitched, 50 years of Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons. And it's hard to believe, isn't it?
50 years. Well, it ages us. You know, my friend and I are always talking about how we're getting a little older and thinking about the younger days. But when you mention that, yeah, it's certainly, you can't believe how quickly time has gone by. I love most of those shows that you mentioned. I watched them. So, you know, you're in a great position. You know, you're very fortunate. You get to meet these people, talk to them. They're very interesting, I'm sure. I mean, some of the ones I've met, you know, I love talking to them. And then sometimes you become friends with them, and it's nice, you know.
Exactly right, and that's the key to it all. We just did a special tribute that was very well received the other night to Quincy Jones, and we had Melba Moore on and Melissa Manchester and Monica Mancini. She's actually she and her husband Greg Field, husband and wife, and he's a revered drummer and composer and everything. And they were with us, and couldn't have been sweeter. And they were talking about how they spent, Monica Mancini and her family and her dad, Henry Mancini, Thanksgivings they spent with Quincy Jones. Some of the stories are quite cool, huh?
They're very cool. I mean, it's fun when you meet these people, you know, like from Star Wars. Who have I spent some time with? The Lando Calrissian, Billy D. You know, it's interesting when you get to sit with them and talk to them about their past and their history and stuff. It's interesting for sure. When you're in LA, you get to do that more than you do in Toronto.
Right. Is there anybody either that you wish you could have met, or maybe isn't with us anymore, or any memorabilia that you wish you would have been able to have access to from something maybe from the past?
I think more items from The Godfather. That's my favorite movie. So as a collector, not as an auctioneer, right? As an auctioneer, you know, you maybe The Wizard of Oz, but as a collector, I think The Godfather. In terms of meeting someone, you know, I have a friend out in LA who's, you know, lived beside Brando, and he spent time with him, and that would have been super interesting to have met Marlon, I think. You know, I'm a student of him, like in terms of his history and all of his movies. So meeting Marlon would have been a thrill. I didn't get a chance to do that. Bruce Lee, of course, but I was young when he passed. Who wouldn't want to meet Bruce? You know, I've met Bruce. I had sort of a bucket list of people I wanted to meet, to be quite honest. Bill Shatner, Chuck Norris, and at one point, another celebrity I won't mention, and then I sort of wasn't interested in meeting him. At I think Tom Hanks, Clint, those two would be interesting.
You've got Wayne Gretzky up there. You've got Celine Dion up there. A
Wayne.
lot of cool people up there too.
Wayne was down in Florida. I saw they were making an issue of it. He was at a party a couple nights ago celebrating something. But yeah, Wayne's. We have tons of talent. Mike Myers, I've met. He's an interesting guy.
It's funny because Quincy Jones, the music inside the movie, speaking of Mike Myers, Austin Powers, people who saw only the movie first and then they hear the music, they're like, oh, yeah, that's the music. And when we did our tribute to him, and then, of course, when Entertainment Tonight and the others have done their tributes, they played that music. And depending on a generation, if they only saw the Austin Powers movie and that's it, they didn't realize that song that's in there is Soul Bossa Nova by Quincy Jones, which came out years ago, that he did not write for Austin Powers because that came years later. A little trivia there. Austin, I would imagine Austin Powers, that must have a lot of, memorabilia from that.
Oh, there's a guy I met, and I forget his name. He's the biggest collector in the world of Mike Myers stuff. I've had one or two of his items, costumes. They're really cool, really cool. And like I said, when when I met him, he was not what you'd expect. He really wasn't. But he's iconic as well in his own way.
Absolutely. And these items are too, like we're talking about, and we just really scratched the surface of some of the many items that are up for grabs right now with that auction. And of course, then there's the other auction that's coming up in February. People can go to the website and consistently be updated on all the various auctions as they develop. You sound like you're having a great time with this, Brad, huh?
It's a lot of fun, but it's hard work. But to get to do something you enjoy, I'm very lucky that way. But it's really a grind, but a good grind in a way. It's good.
But a good grind, right? Exactly, which I think is fantastic. And so maybe you'll get some more Godfather.
I'm hoping.
Mention that the items are 100% authentic and original for anybody who wonders about that, because Studio Auctions has the dedicated staff who, they vigorously go through everything, and that's really, really important. And Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit is up for grabs.
2002 from the first film.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was tricky. That was tricky to get on a mannequin, and we had to try and figure that one out without damaging the material, right?
Exactly right. And again, fans are loving this, and you're doing, the right thing. And there's even memorabilia from Harry Potter too, right?
Oh, we have a lot. We have the 3 light up wands and other items. Harry Potter's a really common, consistent genre in auction houses and collectibles. People really flock to those items.
That's cool stuff. So keep abreast, folks, by going to studioauctions.com. We are talking to the man that heads it up, leads the way. Brad is here. He is the CEO of the company. So he's always busy. Like he said, I don't want to keep too much of your time because I know you're very busy. This was really cool. This was like going down memory lane, talking about the auction and the items and your passion and your love for movies and TV and everything, all the magic that's made. And then now here you are giving fans and collectors and people an opportunity to actually have to own things that are authentic pieces from history, from Hollywood history, movies and television that are authentic and they're the real thing. So it's a cool thing you're doing. I know, like you say, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and you're bringing the magic into everybody's lives through Marilyn Monroe's shoes to the crypt next to her and so much more. It's incredible. It's really something. If you're a super Marilyn Monroe fan, folks, you might want to get these things quick. I expect there are times where stuff goes real fast in terms of just there's a bidding war that happens, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes. So you want to get in on these things and keep checking to see the bids as they're going along and get that final bid in there as well. Cool stuff, Brad. Really a pleasure chatting with you. And as I say to all the guests, we keep the porch light on for our guests. You are welcome back to join us here at the Jim Master Show anytime you like.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. Is so much fun talking to someone who loves movies, right? It was great. And thanks for the opportunity to let us talk about what we're doing.
The pleasure is all mine, and spread the word about our series. And if you know other folks you think would like to pop on, they're all welcome to join us here. We're all connected. And truly, Brad, I hope this is a great smashing success for the current auction and the other ones coming up. And thanks for spending the time and your generosity.
Thank you so much. Really.
Hope you enjoy the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, my friend.
Okay. Have a great weekend.
I feel like I was talking to the kid I grew up with across the street. You be well, my friend, and come see us again.
I will. Thanks, you,
Brad.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Brad Teplitsky joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. He is the CEO and he heads it all up. And so glad to have him here on our show. He's the CEO of Silent Auctions. It's one of the premier in Hollywood. As we were mentioning too, the folks at the motion picture, which I think is really a cool thing. If you heard me mention it earlier, they are the recently appointed auction house for the Motion Picture and Television Fund. And they have become that official auction house of choice for many celebrities. So if you are a fan of all of the great things from Hollywood, whether it's drama, comedy, sci-fi, horror, whatever it may be, some of the glamorous movies and so much more, check it out. It's really cool. A very special episode of our show as we talk about these items. A lot of times we have the guests on our show who were in movies, who are on stage performing, the actors, the actresses, the musicians, the songwriters, the celebrities from all different genres, celebrity guests and friends who stop by our show, and guests from all genres of life too, right? From television, movie, film, stage, Broadway, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspirational people, and more. But when you get a chance to go behind the scenes and see some of the actual props, the items that were a part of the sets of these iconic TV shows and movies, or were in the homes, the lives of the stars themselves that are now made available through studio auctions for the public to bid on, and especially the Pete Rose, that's coming up at the sports auction in February, at the time of this show. I think that's very cool. I expect that to probably go very quickly because, he just passed away not that long ago, again, at the time of this show here. I mentioned we did do a very special tribute episode of the Jim Masters Show, iconic music legend Quincy Jones, a very special tribute episode with celebrity guests and friends. Melba Moore was here, Grammy-winning Melba Moore, Tony-winning, Grammy-nominated Melba Moore, Grammy-winning Melissa Manchester was here, Christine Ullman from Saturday Night Live was here, and just so many other incredible people. Catherine Kramer was here, the daughter of Stanley Kramer, who, he created Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, and so many High Noon and so many other classic movies. So many guests it was a big night. If you didn't see that episode of the Jim Masters Show, check it out. The Quincy Jones JMS special. Really, really cool. Again, studioauctions.com is the website. We invite you to come see us again. We have such a good time with all of you putting all of these shows together with our celebrity friends and guests who stop by, and even folks who aren't necessarily celebrity. They're just nice people who want to be on our show, and they're doing something cool and something special, and they want to be a part of the Jim Masters Show experience. Again, studio auctions, bombshells to blasters is happening right now. And we thank our very special guest, the CEO of Studio Auctions, Brad Teplitsky, joining us right here and right now on our show. Great guy. It really did feel like we were neighbors across the street comparing notes about some of our favorite movies and TV shows. If you enjoyed this episode and all the ones, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, give this episode a like, a thumbs up like right there on our YouTube channel. Click like. Share this episode on your social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Be sure and click the notification bell icon so you never miss any of the episodes. You'll get notifications about the episodes. And drop a comment below. We love hearing from our viewers and our subscribers and interact with us. Drop a comment below. Let us know what are some of the movies and the shows you've enjoyed. Did you see some of those iconic items? That's just a few of the iconic items that they're making available at studio auctions. They're always getting all kinds of items. They're on the search for all kinds of items. But a lot of the celebrities and people, like Brad was saying, they go right to them because they're one of the premier auction houses. So you can really get some amazing things. And good luck if you're going to be bidding. There's some magical things there with the current auction that's happening. So thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We wish you well. Come see us again. Binge watch all the other episodes we have. See some of your favorites again. Shows maybe that you did miss. They're all archived on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We're always welcoming new guests as well. If there's folks that you'd like to see on our show, let us know as well. Always welcoming guests from all around the world, from all genres of celebrity and so much more on our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. Thanks for the comments, the love, the support of JMS, the Jim Masters Show. Don't forget to take care of one another, love one another, and always be sure and take time for and love yourself. It's important to do that. And you can also follow us on social media as well. We are on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter at Jim Masters TV. So you can find us there as well. But you can also interact with us on the YouTube channel in the comments section. We invite you to do that. Thanks to Brad, and thanks to you and you and you and you and everybody watching around the world. Hope you enjoyed this episode because we love doing these shows and this series just for you. Be well. Have a good day. Come see us again. Look for more great shows coming up here at JMS, the Jim Masters Show. We do love you all. Take care and be well. And cheers.